Monster Hunter Rise for PC is on its way, and the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Rise on the PC is insane graphical improvements. So I thought, why not see what the actual difference is? So when I heard that the game was coming to PC, my expectation was very high resolutions and 60 frames per second at a minimum. However, there's more to a good-looking game than just frame rate and resolution. So does the PC version deliver on anything else? Or is this all we have to look forward to? If so, is that enough to justify purchasing the PC version? Is it enough to justify upgrading from the Switch version? Let's take a look. Now, two things to keep in mind as we go through this. Number one, the footage is from the PC demo version of the game with all the visual settings maxed out. Now, I didn't use the vignette or lens distortion type stuff, but anti-aliasing and all the other things that improve rendering quality are set to maximum. I don't imagine that the full release version will be significantly different from the demo version in this respect. Second, I locked the frame rate to 60 frames per second for the demo footage because you won't see higher frames on YouTube anyway. When I unlock the frame rate, my budget level GPU can get about 100 frames per second. So the increased frame rate is an obvious improvement. I wanted to check and see if the textures were significantly different, and it looks like while they are better on the PC version, they're really good on the Switch already. I believe Monster Hunter World allowed you to download a super high resolution texture pack, so maybe they'll do that for Rise as well. The water effects are essentially the same. We can see that anti-aliasing really improves that. You can see that the flame effects are identical. Smoke effects are identical. The higher textures look good on some things. The PC version kind of has this grayed out effect. I'm not sure what that's from. I could understand if, we're looking into the distance and we see like a fogginess covering the distant mountains and stuff. But you look at these wipes and you can see that the Switch version looks brighter somehow, more, it looks sharper. But the water rippling effect is amped up on the PC version for sure. The reflections do look better. There's more detail in them. And yeah, those little wiggly leg reflections are going crazy. It is kind of cool, but the Switch version is good. So let's take a look at the character detail. Here's a 1x zoom. Can you tell the difference between Switch and PC at this zoom level? I put the wrong body armor on, so it's not a different model. The armor models are identical. I just kind of screwed that up. All right, so let's go to 2x zoom. Can you tell the difference now? And 4x, 3x, 4x, I don't know. I lost count of my x's. And zooming down to look at the character model, some detail on the armor, it looks identical. You have the higher resolution, the anti-aliasing, but other than that, the textures look identical. The resolution difference is abundantly clear, but nobody plays zoomed in, right? So where this is going to come into play is when you have you have a much larger display on your PC. If you tried playing the Switch version on your TV at home, it's going to look like shit if you sit too close to it. If you're playing this game on PC on a larger display, the higher resolution just makes everything look a lot cleaner. Yeah, Switch looks good on smaller screens. Now, here's a shot where the 60 frames per second makes things look really cool. When you have these little environmental things, especially fast-moving things, you can tell the P per secs look a lot nicer. As for environmental stuff, when you run through the grass, it wiggles just the same way on Switch's PC. So, we're not seeing like fancy new environmental effects. It's the same fundamental game. It's the same game engine with the same game engine features. From just a layman's perspective, it makes me feel better to see the higher textures, the higher frame rate, and to see little details improved. You can put numbers on things and use all these fancy terms, but what it comes down to is, does the game play better? Does it give you less of a headache to stare at it for 8 hours at a time? Is it pleasing to you in some way to see these improvements? This dithering effect that you see on transparent stuff, it's still there, but it doesn't look as bad with the higher resolutions. Let's take a look at this waterfall. It looks really good. This is the switch right here, and we're wiping across. You know, if you expect better water effects, you're not going to get it. If you expect better environmental effects, you're not going to get it. This is the real improvement in environmental reflective type stuff. The water wiggles more and distorts your reflection more. That's pretty much it. You can see the wire bug effect is the same thing. And then fast motion, it just looks and feels so much better at 60 frames. The top one is kind of stuttering to me. The bottom one's a lot smoother. You're going to be doing a lot of running and flipping and flying in this game, and it makes a huge difference on the eyes. The ground textures are better, but is it that much better? I think the higher frame rate actually makes the textures look better because you're able to see them better. You don't have all this blurriness involved. When we zoom in on the Azuchi, can you even tell the difference? Am I blind? I don't know. I mean, the only difference I see there would be like around the edges where it's a little more jaggy on the Switch, and I would attribute that to screen resolution. The monsters are a lot more fluid in the 60 frames per second. I feel like at 60 frames per second, there's less of a surprise where what the monster's going to do next. And yeah, it's Azuchi because it's the demo. And the other two quests on the demo were nighttime. I wanted to show you daylight. So that's pretty much what you get. So yeah, game feels so much better at the higher frame rate for sure. Yeah, there's nothing fundamentally different about how the game is put together. It's the smoke, the shadows, reflections, fire. It's all the same stuff. For me, what it comes down to is higher frame rate means better gameplay and less eye strain. It's also nice that I get to play it on my PC, which means capture is easier, streaming is more convenient. You're going to be paying full price for this on PC, but the upside is I don't have to renew my Nintendo Online subscription just to play multiplayer. So I think that if this video proves anything, not that I'm trying to prove anything here, I just want to show you the graphical differences, but if this video does prove anything, it's that the game looks really good on Switch. It's just unfortunate that they couldn't push 60 frames per second on the Switch. If they did, I don't think I'd be upgrading to PC. That's what it comes down to for me. If I had to reduce this to one element of the equation, I need the 60 frames per second. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Got lots more cool stuff coming. Gonna have a lot more tips going up. Check out my other videos. Definitely subscribe. New videos every couple of days. Tell me what you think in the comments. So if you don't even own this game yet on the Switch, definitely go for the PC version.